YouTube, so you may know me as Zach, the music YouTuber. You know, the guy who interviews musicians, his friends from the open mic scene, etc. The guy who reviews albums and who ticked off a whole lot of Pink Floyd fans. Today, though, I'm here to use this platform to do something different and talk about one of my other loves, which is Digimon. Just kidding. So specifically, I was inspired by this video on the Super Carlin Brothers channel. So Jonathan Carlin made this video commenting on the Pokemon he believes has been the most underrated by the Pokemon Company. So in this video, he talked about the Pokemon Paris, an adorable crab-like creature infested with a mushroom parasite on its back. And I love this choice because for years on the dresser at my parents' house, I've had this faded sticker of a Paris that I put there after a friend's birthday. But I kind of haven't thought about it, and you know, it's been fading, and yeah, Paris kind of has been neglected by the Pokemon Company, and it's not that surprising. You know, you get hundreds of new Pokemon every few years, and Paris was sort of made fun of in the first season for how weak it is, not to mention how risky the combination bug grass typing is. So Paris was not a very surprising topic for the Super Carlin Brothers to make a video on, because yeah, it was a weak, not particularly famous Pokemon back when it was one of the original 150, so it's certainly not going to be one of the famous ones that's going to get a lot of love now from the Pokemon Company or otherwise. But then, in his second video, Jonathan Carlin decides to get a little edgier, and he talks about Raichu. Now, Raichu is not as obvious a choice as Paris, because Raichu is the evolved form of Pikachu. Pikachu is the most famous Pokemon of them all, so that the fact that it evolves, and for those less familiar with Pokemon, evolves means metamorphosizes. We're not Lamarckians here on Close Listening, but one might think, okay, yeah, Raichu is up there as one of the most important Pokemon because it's related to the most important Pokemon. But therein lies the heart of the problem. Because the Pokemon Company loves Pikachu so much, they're not going to show much love to the Pokemon that takes away the Pikachu form that Pikachu has to transform into. So this mechanic of evolution, metamorphosis, is at the heart of the Pokemon series. When you think about Pokemon as this idea that was conceived by Satoshi Tajiri in Japan so many years ago, what is the core of it? Well, Pokemon are basically animals. They fight, but the fighting is something they enjoy. They don't experience real pain. The point is, it's ethical. It's something that makes Pokemon and the people who train them happy alike. And then what's left as a core mechanic? Well, that they undergo transformation. So take the classic mascots from the Red and Blue Pokemon series. See this little turtle? It doesn't just grow up into a big turtle like a normal animal. No, it turns into this half turtle, half army machine that shoots high pressure water out of its back. And see this adorable little blizzard salamander thing? It's actually a dragon. The Pokemon Company is weirdly kind of obsessed with that one, even though, I don't know, I see the fire on the tail and I feel like it's not that much of a surprise. But when the Pokemon video games became a TV show, the writers had to think about slightly different problems than the designers of a Pokemon video game. So another core mechanic of Pokemon games is they start with a starter Pokemon. Generally, you begin your journey by picking a fire type, a water type, or a grass type. In the context of the narrative of the video games, the starter Pokemon is situated kind of to be the co-protagonist of the game. So a lot of Pokemon in the games you might catch and then use briefly or never use again. But the starter Pokemon, they tend to have above average ability, and particularly early in the games, they tend to be one of the most reliable Pokemon you can get your hands on. So chances are your Pokemon is going to be useful. In the first season of the anime, they had a dilemma. They think, okay, well, we want Squirtle, Charmander, and Bulbasaur to be equal in the minds of our consumers. It would be kind of weird if we say we can choose three, but one of them is the best. So they didn't have Ash start with a Squirtle, Bulbasaur, or Charmander. They had him wake up late and start with a Pikachu. So the anime is the story not just of Ash, the human Pokemon trainer, but of this feisty singular Pokemon, Pikachu. And thus is born the idea that this creature that was just originally one of 150 in the video game is in fact the most important Pokemon in the Pokemon universe. And this is where the conflict between the games and the TV shows begins. So per the logic of the game, the way you evolve Pikachu is getting a Thunderstone. And back when they were designing the original games, Pokemon Red and Blue, the thinking is pretty much, why wouldn't you? Once you get to around the middle of the game and Celadon City, you can buy a Thunderstone, and Pikachu's kind of a cool design, I guess, but you can upgrade him to bigger, better Pichu, to this slightly intimidating looking Raichu. But if you're the writers of the TV show, you have to say, wait a minute. We've developed this wonderful character of Pikachu, a contrarian little Pokemon who doesn't want to live in a Pokeball. He's a little pipsqueak, but he packs this shockingly powerful punch. That's a huge basis of the plot line. Team Rocket wants to steal him because he's an ordinary Pikachu, yet as Pikachu, at least in their opinions, he's one of the most powerful Pokemon on Earth. And are the writers, 14 episodes in the series, going to say, hey, this character, we really sold you as the protagonist, where we're going to fundamentally change his appearance and change his voice and give him a different name because Pokemon in the series are just named for their species? We're just going to replace Pikachu with Raichu. Sorry, kids, we know you're attached. Sorry. But the writers of the TV show had some common sense, and they didn't just throw their protagonist out the window. So in episode 14, Pikachu and Ash battle the gym leader, Lieutenant Surge, who has a Raichu. And they lose one time. And so knowing Pikachu to be an otherwise gifted Pokemon, Ash considers that, well, maybe the only real difference is that Lieutenant Surge's Raichu is fully evolved and my Pokemon is not. And so Ash hands Pikachu a Thunderstone, and Pikachu bats it away with his tail. And that becomes just as important to Pikachu's rebellious personality as the fact that he refuses to go into a Pokeball. So we know from episode 14 of this now forever TV series that Pikachu is never going to evolve. So from this moment onwards, the Pokemon TV show and Pokemon games, which admittedly are sort of part of the same business franchise, have to play this awkward, friendly game of tug of war over what kind of role they want evolution to play in the franchise. So on the one hand, the games gladly accepted that Pikachu was their mascot. And as over the years, as John Carlin notes in his videos, they introduced mechanics into the video games itself that contributed to Pikachu's iconic status, whether it's the game Pokemon Yellow, in which you travel with a Pikachu that doesn't go in its Pokeball and refuses to evolve, or more importantly, for the Carlin brothers argument, in Generation 2, you get an item called the Light Ball, which boosts the attack and special attack of Pikachu to levels that surpass Raichu. So in other words, if you in the games choose not to evolve your Pikachu into Raichu, it's no longer a sort of temporary thing to teach it certain moves and then evolve it. It's no longer just a matter of personal taste where you're like, I know this is a weaker Pokemon, I just like Pikachu better. No, there is actually a strategic reason to think, maybe I want a Raichu, but maybe I want a Pikachu. It's no longer just, do I prefer small and yellow or medium-sized and orange? What intrigues me about the anime, however, is Pikachu is not alone in not evolving. One of the most compelling episodes of the TV series is one called Bulbasaur's Mysterious Garden. In this episode, Ash's Bulbasaur shows the signs that it is ready to evolve and attends an evolution ceremony, which aren't a thing in the games, but it's a great plot device for the TV show. But once it's at the evolution ceremony, it physically constrains its body. It's not ready to evolve, and it draws the judgment of its fellow Saurians. Bulbasaur's non-evolution, in my opinion, is more compelling than Pikachu's. Pikachu kind of mirrors his trainer Ash. He's gifted and he's kind-hearted, but he's also undeniably stubborn and immature and frustrating. So one could read Pikachu's refusal to evolve as his refusal to grow up, just as Ash has been a 10-year-old for so many years of the TV show. Bulbasaur, by contrast, is Ash's most mature Pokemon. Ash met him while he was caring for injured Pokemon at a sanctuary, and when finally towards the end of the original Pokemon series, Bulbasaur is semi-retired from Ash's battling roster, it's solely because Ash thinks a better place for him would be caring for Ash's increasing a roster of spare Pokemon at Professor Oak's laboratory. So Bulbasaur's decision not to evolve suggests a view that pre-evolved Pokemon are not in fact children. They are not in fact the first stage of a metamorphosis. No, growing without evolving is simply a different path to adulthood in the Pokemon universe, and that is the path that Bulbasaur has chosen to follow. And then Pikachu and Bulbasaur aren't the only major Pokemon in the series to not evolve. Ash's Squirtle, my favorite here. He never explicitly refuses evolution, but with a personality and backstory that combines Pikachu's rebellious streak with Bulbasaur's leadership skills, it's essentially implied as much. Squirtle is the indispensable head of a gang called the Squirtle Squad, who at first were abandoned petty criminals and then grew to be helpers in their community as firemen. In the Orange Islands run, Squirtle runs into a crew of Wartortle known as Team Wartortle, and he leads them just as comfortably as they were his Squirtle Squad. In other words, Squirtle is powerful and proud the way he is. He does not need to evolve. Now, in the anime, even if not all the examples are as compelling as Pikachu and Bulbasaur, the list just goes on. So Misty's Psyduck is perhaps the biggest gag of a Pokemon, so it's too dopey to have a strong moment of self-expression like Pikachu or Bulbasaur, where it says it doesn't want to evolve. But there is an episode in which Misty is tricked into thinking it's evolved and gets very excited that she finally has a competent, powerful Golduck, but only to realize she's had a matter of mistaken identity and her old dopey duck friend is going to stay the way he is forever. Misty notably also has a Staryu and Starmie. Staryu evolves into Starmie, yet it's her Staryu in the series who is clearly the favorite. I don't know if the writers didn't like the color purple or thought it was weird that Starmie had too many limbs, but in the series it's pretty clear that Staryu is more Misty's ace than Starmie. So the Pokemon games have not completely ignored the anime's promotion of unevolved Pokemon. So years after the Pikachu-specific Light Ball item was developed, an item called Eviolite came along that boosts the defense and special defense of Pokemon that evolve. But at the end of the day, competitive players are still going to scratch their head if you try and battle them with a Squirtle or a Bulbasaur instead of a Blastoise or Venusaur, just because you made them a bit better by giving them an Eviolite. Now, for me, my love of Pokemon was shaped by the TV show. As a 5 to 8-year-old growing in a household that didn't really have much of a relationship to video games, I took it for granted that, like lots of the CD-ROMs I had for computer, that the Pokemon game must have just been inspired by the TV show. The fact that the TV show was just a big ad for the games was something I didn't learn until I was a teenager. So my dream, I suppose, is that one day we'll get much more sophisticated games that allow for a strategy where it is far more viable to run teams with all kinds of Pokemon at all kinds of evolutionary level. As someone who loved watching Squirtle and Bulbasaur and pre-evolved Charmander on the TV show, it's really frustrating when you pick up a game and you press the B button to ensure your Pokemon doesn't evolve, and then you get to the Elite Four and they keep on getting knocked out in one hit, and you have to be, like 50 levels stronger than their Pokemon for it to be a true ace at this point, even though in the TV show there are unevolved ace Pokemon. So I don't know if the games are ever going to move in that direction. What I have noticed is that the makers of the TV show may have realized over the years that they made a bit of a mistake in promoting this fantasy of the powerful, unevolved Pokemon. And I sort of noticed this in the development of the role that unevolved Pokemon have played in Ash's team over the years. So Ash has traveled through 8 different regions, a few more actually, but 8 core regions representing the 8 generations of video games. The first generation was eventually known as the Kanto region. So in each of these regions, Ash sort of ends a series by playing in a competitive Pokemon League tournament. And in that first tournament, in the Kanto League tournament, Ash relies heavily on his unevolved heavyweights for some big wins. So Pikachu knocks out an Arcanine in the 3rd round, this fully evolved legendary dog Pokemon. Bulbasaur beats a Beedrill and a Scyther, 2 massive Pokemon with weapons on their hands, and little Bulbasaur hands it to them. And then when Ash finally is eliminated from the tournament in round 5, it's to another trainer who uses 2 unevolved Pokemon, and his 3rd Pokemon is Butterfree, which is fully evolved, but, not quite as intimidating as some of the big evolved Pokemon one generally might see in a Pokemon League. But once the show moves beyond the Kanto League, it slowly starts to bring in hints that, hey, maybe this is not the best strategy to keep relying on unevolved Pokemon. So between Generation 1 and Generation 2, the TV show invented this region called the Orange Islands, and Ash ends up becoming the champion of this made-up region. However, in order to beat the champion's most powerful Pokemon, Dragonite, Ash basically is to sweep through the rest of Drake's Pokemon and then put the strength together of 3 of his Pokemon, Squirtle, Tauros, and Pikachu, to gradually chip away at Dragonite's HP. The point is that Dragonite is a league of its own, way more powerful than any of the Pokemon Ash has. So the message is starting to be, look, sorry, a Pikachu, a Squirtle, a Bulbasaur, they'll never be the equal of a Dragonite. That said, Dragonite is pretty powerful even amongst fully evolved Pokemon, and maybe Drake's was just particularly good. It was the, Mike Trout of Pokemon battlers, so don't have to make much of that one. Then we get to the Johto League. This introduces the most memorable battle perhaps of all time in Pokemon, because Ash battles his original rival based on the character Blue from the video games, Gary. So this is an intense battle. It's a rare 6 Pokemon on 6 battle showed on the TV series. And despite this being the battle that really concludes the original Pokemon adventures, Ash does not use Pikachu on his team. Instead, because Gary, being a stereotypical, obnoxious, cool kid, uses all these muscly, powerful-looking Pokemon, Ash goes for the closest things he has on his team. So instead of Pikachu, or Squirtle, or Bulbasaur, or Totodile, or Cyndaquil, he goes with Muk, Tauros, Snorlax, Heracross, Bayleaf, and Charizard. So Bayleaf is not a fully evolved Pokemon, but it is also the least successful of the battlers in this fight. So make of that what you will. So Johto League gets a lot of good action out of non-evolved Pokemon, but at the very end it says, let's be serious. If you want to be the champion, we can't use these Pokemon that we've used as the main character for the series. We have to use these ones that Ash caught and put in a box somewhere to take out a special moment, because they're the only ones who are really powerful. Generation 3 is set in what's known as the
Hoenn region.
And this sort of breaks with the traditions. So in the first series, 2 of the 3 starter Pokemon did not evolve. In the second series, 2 of the 3 starter Pokemon did not evolve, and the one that did evolve only evolved part way, retaining that combination of coolness and cute. But in the
Hoenn
region, Ash only has 1 of these starter Pokemon, a Trico, and it evolves all the way. May, his main traveling
companion,
her Torchic, also evolves into a mighty fighting Blaziken. And even Brock's Mudkip, one of the most popular unevolved Pokemon of them all, evolves partway into a Marshtomp. That said, Ash does have one pretty potent unevolved Pokemon in the Sinnoh region in addition to Pikachu, and that is Corphish. And Corphish does have a big win in the Pokemon League, so no reason to be dismissive of that. Now we're at Generation 4. This is the Sinnoh region, and again, the show is regretting saying, let's keep the starters in their most popular unevolved form. So we see Ash's Chimchar evolve all the way to Infernape, and his Turtwig evolve all the way to a Torterra. Piplup doesn't evolve at all, but Piplup isn't part of Ash's team. So Ash has 2 players on his team besides Pikachu who are not fully evolved. He has Buizel and Gible. From what I can tell from reading about the series, because this is not something that I've watched in full, Buizel is not a particularly big player when it gets to the end of the series, but Gible, to his credit, is a small little feisty fighter and defeats a mighty Dusknoir in the Sinnoh region Pokemon League. Now we get to Generation 5, Unova, and this is returning to the classic formula of respecting Pokemon in their unevolved form. So Ash has various formidable unevolved Pokemon on his team, most notably Scraggy. But even though Unova features these unevolved Pokemon, it's sort of trying to say to you, this isn't going to work out in the long term. So both Ash's Snivy and Ash's Oshawott are amongst his least successful Pokemon based on wins-loss record. And Ash is in fact eliminated from the Unova Pokemon League when his Snivy is actually fighting a pretty tough battle against a Riolu, and the Riolu evolves midway through the battle into a Lucario. So the lesson, you're not going to win if you're not fully evolved. And then what do we get after Unova? We get Kalos, in which it seems every creature on Ash's team is some sort of threatening, not designed to be physically appealing monster. So there's no Bulbasaur or Squirtle or even Bayleaf equivalent here. No, we have Slime Dragon, Bat Dragon, Firehawk, Mexican Wrestler Hawk, and everyone's favorite for some reason, Frog Ninja choking itself with its own tongue. And not surprisingly, this is perhaps Ash's best team. He finishes second in the Kalos League. The message here, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, that's cute, but you can't win a battle without real warriors that don't choke themselves in the neck with a tongue because they're about being cool, they're not being about pleasant to look at. So Ash's Alola team comes next. So this is Generation 7. So Ash actually wins a championship in the Alola region, but I'm still inclined to see his Kalos team as more impressive since Alola was a new league, Ash was battling against people he knew from the region. It's not quite the same level of accomplishment, even if he finished first instead of second. So this time they do leave Ash with an unevolved starter, Rowlet, but it's pretty clear that the Sleepy Bird is mostly there for comic relief, and Ash's aces are fully evolved Pokemon like Lycanroc and Melmetal. So now the Pokemon series is on Generation 8, which is in the Galar region. So Ash doesn't necessarily have that many Pokemon from the Galar region. He's traveling with a partner named Go, who is the co-protagonist of the series and catches some of that Pokemon. So who exactly is Ash's team in this region? Well, remember the Lucario that gave his Snivy such a hard time because Lucario is fully evolved and Snivy wasn't? Well, Ash is upgraded. He has a Lucario now. Or what about Dragonite? Remember that Pokemon that gave him such a hard time when it was battling against him for Drake? Well, he has one of those too. He also has the OG Ghost, Gengar, a pretty intimidating Pokemon, and this prehistoric fish dragon Chimera. And then finally, there's Sirfetch'd, another fully evolved Pokemon. That said, 2 of the 3 starter Pokemon in that region, owned by Ash's traveling companion Go, are fully evolved starters. Scorbunny quickly evolved twice to become a Cinderace, and Sobble ascended into being an Inteleon. And to be honest, that second choice really surprised me. So I figured that the reason the Pokemon Company evolved some Pokemon and not others is that they figured some Pokemon were most memorable, most marketable in their unevolved form, and they didn't want to interrupt having those Pokemon as characters on the series. So that's why, they don't evolve Misty's Psyduck. You have plenty of powerful Pokemon in the Pokemon universe, but Psyduck's dopiness is unique and classic. So if I was a writer, I would have stuck with the perpetually crying water baby chameleon over, a more generic looking powerful water lizard creature? Probably, but it seems like the writers of the TV show are really trying to say, okay, you should want to evolve your Pokemon, kids. There's nothing good that comes out of not evolving them. So I guess this leads me to my wrap up. All of this is to say, Jonathan Carlin was right to observe that Raichu got a bad deal. But that may be the product of a storytelling decision the Pokemon Company now regrets from years ago. Ash's Pikachu was a rebel that rejected evolution, and 2 of his oldest teammates, Bulbasaur and Squirtle, marched to the same drum. But now the people writing the anime have realized that it doesn't make sense to promote a philosophy of Pokemon training inconsistent with the games they make. If you don't evolve your Pokemon, it's going to take forever to beat a Pokemon game. And while my preference is still to go into battle with scrappy underdogs like these guys, if you want to be the very best, you're probably better off going with these ones, even the one strangling itself with its own tongue.